I think that's a very interesting subject. I don't know if that is definitely ideal. I don't know a whole lot, but I think that there's a lot of negative side effects that come with performance enhancing drugs. So promoting the use of those, I think, would maybe be a little bit controversial in the games. So that's one thing I have to say.
I think it would become part of the norm, and I think that would be good, just because it wouldn't be classified as cheating. People are going to do it anyways, regardless of whether there's a rule or not, so you might as well just let them. And like I said earlier, have a medical professional who knows how to deal with that sort of adverse effect on site, ready to act.
I think it's going to be fun to watch, but I think it's still dangerous on a certain level, because I don't know, there's no max, right? Like they can take as much as they want. I think they're going to be, like the athletes are going to be pushing themselves to the max, where it reaches a level that's so critical, like health-wise. I think that's the dangerous part, but other than that, I think it's going to be fun. Like, new world records are going to be reached. Everything. I think there's going to be new world records.
I don't think that it should be a thing, just because I don't think it would be very fair. Like, since each player is like on a different like level of dopamine or drugs. I also think that it would be there would be a lot of health risks involved. Like, if you can take as much dopamine as you can, like as you want, I don't like overdosing. Yeah, kind of like overdosing. I don't think that's a very safe approach to it. I think like if each person takes like, for example, the same amount across like the board, like, and then it's like a safe amount, like maybe, but also like if you think about the kids, for example, seeing like their role models taking drugs at such an early age, like from like watching them since they were children. If they want to go into that sport, they're gonna think that they have to go down that road and have to
From a
take
young age.
exactly, and like probably have a higher health risks since they started, if they do start it from such a young age.
This
Personally,
obviously it does have some advantages in terms of like money generated. I feel like it will draw a lot of viewership, because like people would want to see how fast, how athletic, how big can be like a human body get. But at the same time, I feel like that's a very slippery slope and it's very dangerous.
The first thing I thought of was that the Russians were gonna love this, but and then I actually went online to see if it was organized by, if any Russian person was part of organizing the games, and it was actually an Australian man who came up with the idea.
I think they should do a lot of like experiment and research on it. There's a lot of health risks associated with it.
That's the thing. I was also thinking, like, how are they going to regulate how much?
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of health risks. I also think it's presenting a very like poor image to like kids who like would watch the games. Like then you're justifying and endorsing and like saying that it's okay to take these performance enhancing drugs, and like you're setting up like kids. If kids are watching, I'm assuming they would be watching that, like they have this like they have an image like that's okay because there's other influential people like on TV like doing that. So I think that sets up very like one, it's bad for their health, like there's not like certain regulations, but there's a reason why like they're banned, and like two, then you're like setting up a very poor example for like your young impressionable kids who are viewing.
and it's also like a reason to like not work as hard enough, you know, like you have something that.
I would disagree with that though.
Why?
Because you're still working hard, but you're actually pushing yourself even past your limit.
No, but if someone knows that there will be something helping them, I don't think that's.
But if everyone's taking the steroids, you're not having that advantage anymore. So you're still gonna have to outwork people to win the tournament.
It's going
but
past
again,
the
like,
human
because
limit.
You're just going
they're
past the
not
human limit.
regulating it.
Yeah, I know.
They're
But at
just
the
saying,
same time,
are you taking steroids? Yes, okay, you can compete. But
You
then
want kids
what
to
if,
take steroids?
no, not kids. The enhanced
if-
games is gonna be like over 18, right?
But still, over 18, but 19, it's still like not good.
I'm not agreeing with it, but in terms of working not as hard, I think they still work just as hard. It's just trying to
Exactly.
Once you normalize it, everyone.
It's just raising the threshold.
Yes, you're raising
But,
the
but
threshold.
that means you're pushing yourself harder.
What I'm saying, like right now the threshold is at no drugs, then you have to work hard to get there. And then it just if everyone's taking drugs, then you just increase the threshold that your body can work at. So you still have to work hard. I'm agreeing with you. You still have to work hard. It's a different threshold now.
Essentially, what it's doing, these enhancements games, what it's doing, it's allowing to see how far humans could get in performance.
Yes.
But I think that's only relevant when you take athletes who are already at their physiological limit.
Yeah.
So you take athletes who are already there, and then you give them things that can help them do better, and then compete further.
So we're all saying about how there's negative effects health-wise. But if we look at in sport teams, and we look at the topic of deviance, which was brought up in class, which means that these people who take drugs are called deviants because they're doing things that are outside the norms of society. So people look negative down, look bad on them. And this also happens in teams where someone would take a drug just because they feel like they're not there yet. They feel like they're in a lower level. They feel like some other people are taking it, so they have to get on their level, so they're taking it. But then society looks down on them. So if you're having enhancement games, technically you're taking away that deviance factor and you're making it the norm.
I feel like that'll be determined on how it gets accepted by society.
Or what about in the teams itself? Since everyone is allowed to take it, that takes away that deviance factor because you're taking away.
Yeah, within the people competing, sure, but
Yes,
But
from outside, of course.
From outside, people are still going to look down on these people who are competing.
But in the team itself, it takes away that negative outlook on interpersonal bonds between members of a team or even competitors. So now you're saying, well, now I don't have to worry if that person is taking something that's illegal, or I don't have to worry about that person has a better advantage over me. Now they don't have to worry about anything that they're taking, because most often or not in all these sports, people are still taking performance enhancing drugs.
I feel like though there's like some can be taking like this brand that's better than this brand. You know what I mean? Some people can be.
That's subjective. That's up to them.
That's the same as saying, some runners might use better running shoes than others. It's
That's their fault.
But at the end of the day, I think people will always try to be the best, and you know the great sport myth, and people are just going to try to be the best and outperform others. So I think they might go over the top and overdose on like steroids and other stuff, which could have like severe
Negative effects,
implications.
Yeah. But what about? Because I think in the enhancement games, there's medical doctors that are with them.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
Because if there was no regulatory, it's very dangerous. I don't think that should even happen.
Yeah.
There should be someone watching.
I'm assuming so.
However, like if a child is watching on TV, like people taking these things, like don't you think the child is gonna want to?
Exactly.
There's gonna be more. There should be more caution.
Exactly.
For the younger population.
Exactly. I think maybe it could be rated R. It could be for a viewer's discretion advised. It could have a certain specific audience that's targeting, and children are if you look at R-rated movies, a child could still watch R-rated movies, but it's discretion. They shouldn't be watching it.
Yeah.
So you can never prevent someone from not seeing something or watching something. So it could be the same thing. So all these R-rated movies could have negative connotations to them, but if the child watches it, the child watches it. You can't control that factor.
I'm more worried about the actual athletes themselves than the viewers.
Yes, exactly, viewers. Because for the viewers, it's entertainment value.
Yeah, for the child though, they are the future of that like sport if they go into it. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, the athletes at the moment, but like this will start something up later on, and on the long term, it might affect it.
So you're
I just
saying,
feel like it's almost like normalizing the fact like to take drugs.
What about
Yeah.
normalizing violence in UFC? Why is children allowed to watch UFC where they almost kill each other?
I think that also because a lot of people would argue that the UFC shouldn't be a sport.
Yeah.
So I think this is
You could think enhancements games could be similar to UFC where they have a bad outlook on society. So you have to weigh the pros and the cons.
Yeah. This